channel.
Hey, you know what time it is, No Press fam? The Beat Fam! Welcome everyone to another episode of The Beatdown, the segment and channel where two worlds collide. I'm your host, Class, with my co-host, Biggs, doing it big, baby, and keeping it 100 subs. And as a friendly reminder, guys, if you guys enjoy our content, you know what you can do? You can share, you can like, you can subscribe, or you can turn on your notifications to get the latest episodes, which we put out every week. And today we're going to be doing things a little differently again. There was a certain comic that came out and debuted, and that comic was the Fantastic Four in November. So we decided, in honor of their debut, that we do a matchup with them. So I'm going to be representing Marvel Comics, the Fantastic Four. Okay, so we're going to be doing things a little differently than we normally do on a regular basis. Usually we talk about brief origin stories and we talk about abilities and stuff like that, but we're just going to be doing things just a little bit different than we normally do traditionally. So we're going to do a thing called super brief origin, which means we're not really just going to give you a long term of the story. We're just going to give you a really super short story. Okay, alright, let's get into the super brief origin. So there were a group of scientists, four of them, who loved each other very much. Like, there were two couples, there was a brother, there was a good friend. They all cared for each other and decided they were going to go on a space expedition. Something went horribly wrong and they get hit with a cosmic radiation. That radiation messes with their body and gives them powers, and they decide to use the powers for good when they crash land on Earth. And that's a super brief origin story of the Fantastic Four. Alright, normally I talk about powers, abilities, and feats, but since we have a group of them all together clumped in, we're just going to talk about certain particular feats that these characters have accomplished to kind of demonstrate how powerful or how tough they can be to put down. So let's start off with Mr. Fantastic, okay? Mr. Fantastic took a blast from the Elder of the Universe, okay? Being able to take a blast from something that is from a universe level power is saying something. And then now we have the Thing. Now the Thing took down the Immortal Hulk, okay? The Immortal Hulk under the Puppet Master's mind control. The Hulk was under the Puppet Master's mind control, and while he was he was like full Hulk mode. And the Thing managed to get one really good punch. Granted, he broke his arm or destroyed it, but he at least got to put the Immortal Hulk down. The Immortal Hulk down, sorry. The Invisible Woman. She put down the Super Skrull, which had the powers of all the Fantastic Four members. And so keep that in mind. She was able to take on the Thing's strength, Mr. Fantastic's elastic ability, the Human Torch's fire, and her own ability against herself, and still win. So let's just keep that in mind. And now finally, of course, the Human Torch took down Impossible Man using his flames to hypnotize him in a hypnotizing fashion, and then he got the jump on him. Impossible Man is capable of alternating reality itself. Alright, now we're going to get into the end game. So normally end game we talk about like the whole thing that they would do to like all the little calculated moves, but we're just going to talk about which characters would go against who in the end game and then who would pair up after. So we're going to start off with the Human Torch versus the Signal. Now I think that they would go mano a mano with each other. The Signal might have some impressive healing factors, but at the end of the day that's not really going to be relevant in this situation, because eventually, let's face it, the Human Torch can just keep throwing flames at him, throwing fire at him, and eventually he's just going to burn him into ashes. I mean, how long is that healing factor going to last? Let's just consider that. Alright, another thing to take into fact is that Human Torch can actually suck the oxygen out of someone's lungs. So, hypothetically speaking, he could probably do that. He could take the oxygen out of Signal's lungs and put him out in that type of old-fashioned. Or he could take him to a burning structure somewhere hot to keep the environment pressure for Signal, where it wouldn't be any advantage to him, but it'd be all advantages to Human Torch, and eliminate him in that way and move on. Next one to go against each other, I think the Invisible Woman against Geoforce. Now, Invisible Woman can take all the powers of the members, so I do believe that she could take on Geoforce. Geoforce is able to control gravity. He's also able to control the elements of the earth, so he is a very formidable foe. But let's keep to mind, Invisible Woman also has this really tough shield, so she'll be able to protect herself in a defensive kind of way. Here's how I think she could win against him. It would be a good opportunity to use her invisibility to surprise him. Now, obviously, you want to get close enough to him, so let a battle go on and on for a little bit. Use your force field, throw as much as you can at him. Let him think that this battle is good. Because Geoforce isn't exactly leadership material, so there's a possibility he wouldn't be able to figure out any tactics and moves. He's just kind of a soldier, loyal soldier, but not exactly tactical. Not that smart. So Invisible Woman would probably be able to outsmart him, eventually get close enough, use her invisibility out of nowhere, catch Geoforce off guard, and then just sneak attack him, and then use her power to kind of throw everything she got right at him as she's right there in close range proximities, and then take him out. In that essence, I do believe she has the ability to do that. I do believe she has the power to do that. If Geoforce doesn't catch her and react quickly enough, yeah, and I do believe Invisible Woman could do it quick enough, could put him down for the count in that way. The next one, I think, the Thing versus Metamorpho. Okay, so the Thing will be able to break through any kind of grip block, kind of like submission move that he might try to put on him, because if you've seen him in the comics, Metamorpho is strong with his abilities to change into certain elements of material, but he's not strong enough to hold too much of a grip when it comes to super strong beings. And the Thing, Ben Grimm, is considered a super strong being. In this essence, he can lift over 100 tons. So there was a thinking point in the comics where he was able to break or lift 10,000 tons, but I'm not really quite sure that's accurate. But that being said, he could break through Metamorpho, so Metamorpho won't be able to kick them on a lock. So the best bet for the Thing in this way is just kind of keeping him in a fight, just throwing down with him, because the one good punch is one thing, but Metamorpho is kind of hard to beat on his own, especially since he's got all those elements in his favor. He could probably do something at some point to ruin the Thing, or put the Thing out, ruin his body armor that he possesses. So the Thing would have to kind of keep Metamorpho occupied. He could probably do it if he wanted to, with enough strength, maybe enough throwing, enough force. Maybe he could put him down. But to be honest, I think the Thing would be better off having his team show up and handle Metamorpho all four together to eliminate that competition or that competitor. All right, lastly, Mr. Fantastic against Black Lightning. Black Lightning is just hard to beat. Very tough character to take down. Has the martial arts skills. On top of that, he has that incredible electrical power that he has in his fingertips. So he is very hard to put down. But Mr. Fantastic, besides also having a great ability of being able to be a rubber and elastic, remember, rubber doesn't get affected too much by electricity or like shocks. So it's not going to put too much damage in Mr. Fantastic. Maybe if it was like an ice character, or maybe somebody with like heat, maybe he'd be in a very dangerous situation. But electricity isn't really too much of a trouble for rubber. I do believe that's what Mr. Fantastic is made out of. So his elastic material is capable of probably being able to withstand that kind of attacks, but at the same time, dodging will be his safe best bet, since he has the ability to do that. Mr. Fantastic is going to be able to outsmart, I think, Black Lightning. Black Lightning is very smart, very educated, but Mr. Fantastic, Richard Reed, is one of the most brilliant men in Marvel universes. So I do believe, in the Marvel universe, I do believe he could figure out a tactic, figure out a strategy at some point to put Lightning down. Since he is a pretty smart scientist, he would be able to figure out what he could do to counter-maneuver Black Lightning's abilities. Eventually, at some point, maybe putting it back on him or draining him of his electricity in some way, and then giving Mr. Fantastic the ability to kind of sneak his way in there, use his elastic moves to kind of toss a lot of objects to lose the focus, not to give him a perfect target shot. And on top of that, keeping the swings around and maybe even grabbing him by the ankle and tossing him a couple times around the walls and stuff might give Mr. Fantastic the upper advantage he needs to put Black Lightning down for the count. But if not, again, he's got his team to help him out. Human Torch, I think, will be available, or Invisible Woman. One of those two will probably help him, and then they can go help the Thing take on Metamorpho. And yeah, I think that's how that all would end up. All right, and I'll be representing DC Comics Outsiders. Alright, let's get into the super brief origin story. Okay. So Batman wanted to start a team that was outside the jail. If you don't know what jail means, it's Justice League. And he figured he would want to pick someone who wouldn't have wanted to be a part of the Justice League. And ergo, here comes Black Lightning himself. He refused to be a part of the JL, didn't want to be a part of the team, kind of considered himself an outsider, and Batman said, hey, why don't you take on a new team, call yourself that, and recruit him. And yeah, and he did so, and yeah, he found a bunch of characters, or a bunch of DC characters out there who didn't quite fit into the typical team big member. So yeah, he formed the Outsiders, and that's the super brief origin story of the Outsiders. Alright, let's get into the feats. So let's start off with Black Lightning. Black Lightning was able to knock out Cheetah, who can spar, by the way, with Wonder Woman. Metamorpho, he was able to take a blast from Eradicator himself, who is a Superman level being. So if he was able to take a heat blast from him, that's saying something. Now, of course, you got good old-fashioned Geoforce, who was able to take down, get this, Deathstroke himself. Deathstroke, if you don't know, super intelligent, is capable of using 90% of his mind. Also considered determinant, one of the most deadliest assassins. He has an incredible healing factor. He has knife metal weapons. I mean, the guy is impossible. And Geoforce was able to take him down, and was also going after. He almost took out the entire Ra's al Ghul family using a giant size 20-foot story rock boulder looking character. Then you got the Signal, who was able to take on Damian Wayne. And if you don't know who Damian Wayne is, that's Batman, and I think Natalia, it was her name, which is Ra's al Ghul's daughter. And she trained him. Batman trained him. He was able to learn the League of Shadows, or I forget the name. I think it's the League of Shadows skills. So he was one of the best out there, and he got beaten by Signal, who was also another Robin. Alright, so let's talk about the end game. Let's start off with Metamorpho. I would put against the Thing. The reason I put Metamorpho against the Thing is because Metamorpho is probably the strongest one out of all the characters in there. And Outsiders, if you put the 4, Geoforce is pretty strong, Black Lightning is pretty strong. But the reality is, at the end of it all, I do believe that you have all the elements to your possession of power. I do believe you got to be the top dog. So I do believe Metamorpho would take the Thing on. Do I think he could put him down? Maybe if he duplicates himself. If he makes copies of himself. Metamorpho can't do that, by the way. He can make copies of himself. And if he does so, that means he can use his element powers to overtake the Thing at some point and eliminate him that way. Or he can just hold him off in the meantime until the other team shows up. But either way, Metamorpho either can hold his own, or might be able to overtake him. Next one on my list is Geoforce go against the Human Torch. Now, Geoforce is able to control gravity. Maybe he will be able to control Human Torch's flying abilities, be able to move him around, put pressure on him. But here is where I do believe that Geoforce has the Human Torch's number. He could take the oxygen out of his lungs. Now, there is apparently gravity does have an effect on your oxygen. Apparently, so connects with the atoms and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, yes, he could technically use gravity to suffocate Human Torch in that way, and that's one of Human Torch's greatest weaknesses. He needs oxygen in order to survive, and without it, he could just completely be eliminated or obliterated. I guess I'm saying it right. I'm sorry, I haven't said that in a while. But be taken out in that way, or gravity could just keep being not his friend. He could just keep being pressured on. Either way, Human Torch is down for the count with Geoforce's great might of gravity and being able to control the Earth. And also at the same time, he can also take the heat, because he also has the ability to control lava. He uses some kind of lava blast. So Human Torch and lava, and Human Torch and Geoforce are probably going to have a standstill when it comes to fire. But as far as losing oxygen and he's losing oxygen or gravitational pull, do give it to Geoforce in this situation. Black Lightning versus Invisible Woman is my next pick. Reason I say this is Black Lightning. So Invisible Woman has an incredible force field. So Black Lightning has to get her to keep that guard down. Use maybe her powers to kind of just keep using the force to attack Lightning. And at some point, if he gets just in close enough range, he's capable of conducting enough power to channel the Earth's power, the Earth itself, and be able to use it. I mean, obviously, he still gets affected by it, but if he uses just the right amount of it, because he used it before, and just uses just the right amount that doesn't overpower him, but at the same time enough to hit Invisible Woman, I think he could hit Invisible Woman with a force field down and put her down in the count in that situation, leaving him available to go help the rest of the team if they need him. Signal versus Mr. Fantastic, my last point, or my last argument, I guess, to be made. So obviously Signal doesn't want to let Mr. Fantastic get any range or use his elastic abilities to his advantage. So I think Signal would need to use the darkness to his advantage, since he has the abilities in his eyes to see things in the dark or with light. That's a really cool metahuman power. But if he's able to kind of put Mr. Fantastic in the dark, he might be able to keep Mr. Fantastic unable to use his abilities to attack him or be able to really get a direct blow. Eventually Mr. Fantastic will figure out a strategy, so Signal has to kind of do what he can as quick as possible. He is trained enough by Batman to be sneaky and trained enough to take him down. He has a healing factor if he does get thrown into walls or anything. But let's say he can't put him down for the count. Again, like I've said, with Metamorpho is also the example. You have two other characters who are probably going to be available after a while, and that would be Black Lightning. I also do believe Geoforce. So Black Lightning and Geoforce might get available because they might be able to take their competition out by themselves. Metamorpho might be able to take the thing out and then help them out. Either way, I do believe one of these characters is going to be able to overpower a character, then team up with another character, work with them, put those people down, and so on and so forth, until the outsiders are the last characters standing. Anyways, it's not up to me, it's not up to Biggs. It's up to you guys. So, if you guys liked my argument, you know what you can do? You can hashtag the Fantastic Four. And if you guys like my argument, you know what you can do? You can hashtag Outsiders. And as always, No Press Fam, we really appreciate you guys. Catch you guys later. Peace.